Hello, I am Mac, at least for a day, and everything's going to be okay. I am going to be starting a mini-series about how to make a text adventure in Dreams. My first text adventure that I did a video about recently was very successful. It's getting a lot of likes. It's up to like over 400 now. And some people, well, at least one person has commented and asked me to make a tutorial on how to make a text adventure because they want to make one as well. So I decided to do that. And I'm definitely not going to be doing every step of the next game that I'm making. I'm making another text adventure, but I will do a few tutorials in different steps while I make the game, so you can see some techniques how you could make a text adventure if that's something you'd want to do in Dreams. So we're going to be doing the intro today. This is a game that I'm going to call A Garden for My Wife, and it starts out as a pretty sad story. Well, let's just go ahead and write the story. It's about, you play as a husband whose wife dies. You're an older couple, and we're going to go ahead and write that story right now. So first we should get out a camera, and making your first camera for this is very important. You need to put all the right settings in. So you need to make sure you have hide imps. I don't like imps showing during storyline sequences or really anything in these text adventures because I don't make them imp interactable. You're not gonna be possessing anything, so your imp would just be floating around, and I'm not gonna make any objects like able to use your imp. My text adventures, you just use dialogue choices in order to progress. So make sure that I think for this intro we're going to have no transition time for the cameras, and they'll all be a straight cut because I don't want to be moving around from camera to camera. I want it to cut straight to the next thing that it's going to show. I think that's good. Let's go ahead and position this camera. So this camera will be showing the wife in bed. This is her deathbed. She's going to pass away in the storyline right at the beginning. And by the way, I've made this big area. I'm not going to be showing how to assemble a level because that's not really the focus of this series. I made this big valley, which is basically where this storyline and this text adventure is going to take place. Of course, I didn't make any of the assets. I used a lot of other people's assets and stuff, but I'm not going to be showing how to assemble a level or anything. I'm just focusing on how to make the text dialogue choices and interactivity and all that. There's other tutorials on how to assemble a level. In fact, I did one recently. It wasn't very extensive, but I'm not going to be showing how to make the area, place the assets or anything. I'm just going to be concentrating on the camera and dialogue choice design. So that's all you can expect from this series. Okay, so we placed that camera, and I really think there's only one other camera. I think there's just going to be two cameras for this scene. And it's going to be the grave. So this grave right here will be the wife's grave. I think I'll move it a little bit. Move these a little closer together. Yeah. Okay. So at some point we're going to cut to this camera showing that she has passed away and her grave is here. Alright. Okay, now, well, I should go ahead and get the cameras wired up. I'll go ahead and make a microchip for this scene. probably only going to need, this will be a fairly simple scene. It's just an intro. I like to use counters to control cameras, and I will name the counters so I know what cameras they control. So camera 1 and camera 2. This is camera 2, so we will hook the counter full into it, and that will power the camera. So anytime that you increase the count to 1, then the camera will be powered. It's powered right now because I increased the count. If I put it back down to 0, the camera will be turned off. There's other devices that you can use to power cameras and other things, but really just about anything works. Counters are very convenient and easy to use, so I use them. And the first person who taught me about design in Dreams told me that they also like to just power things with counters. So it's pretty simple. You can also use switches, but I find that switches don't work like this very well. They don't work well in microchips. They work well for objects in the game if you want characters to be able to turn things on, or they work well in timelines for turning things on briefly. But yeah, for designing things to be powered in a microchip, I like to use counters. So the beginning of the scene, this camera will be on because it's the first that we'll cut to. But another important thing I'll teach you about is wipers. So this will be the wiper counter. So we'll go to cameras and lighting and take out a wiper. Wipers are just used to make the screen go black or any color. And I will, it needs to have no start time because if you have start time on it at the beginning of a scene, things will show briefly before the screen goes black, and that doesn't look good. So we're going to use dissolve, and you need to use color and black. So black background, and I will leave the fade on time. In fact, I'm going to have to use 2 different wipers. I need a wiper that has fade out or fade in. Wait a second. Am I thinking of this right? Yeah, fade out time, fade in time. I need a different wiper that has fade in time. So for when we cut to the other camera, I'm going to use a wiper for that transition. So this will have normal transition time, but this one will be the opening one. So the screen will be black at the beginning of the scene. Okay, and then the other main thing we're going to be using is just dialogue text boxes, or a dialogue text displayer, whatever you want to call it. These are the best for anything really. I rarely ever use text displayer, and I never use subtitle displayer. Subtitle displayer, kind of like the Switch, is really only good for timelines, if you want to have subtitles go up for a certain amount of time. But if you want the player to be able to control it and like progress the dialogue with a button, really dialogue text displayer is the only one that works well. Text displayer, I don't think it has any kind of push to close button, so it's pretty useless as well. Subtitle is completely useless. It has almost no settings. So I just use dialogue text displayer because it has the most settings, and I honestly don't know why the other ones exist. But anyway, so we're only going to be using dialogue text displayers for the most part. I occasionally use text displayers for timelines or placing words in the world, like if I want words on the wall or on a book or on a physical page of a book in the game, I might use a text displayer so it's on all the time. But for dialogue, I've always used dialogue text displayer. Okay, enough about that. Okay, so we need to go ahead and make all the settings. just like the cameras, I'm gonna clone it over and over so I don't have to do the settings more than once. So I'm gonna turn off text boxes and borders. We don't need those. Let's just see that border thing. I honestly don't know why those are there. And the background. Sometimes you need background if you can't see the text against whatever game background there is. But anyway, I'll try not to ramble too much. Shadow, I think I'll leave the shadow on. Shadow, I'm starting to like. I didn't used to use it, but... Okay, and the text is going to be white, because of course we're using a black background. It's not going to show up unless I use white. I need to decide. I think I will go ahead. Well, first of all, let's... we'll use center alignment. And let's go ahead and type something so we can actually see what we're doing here. I'm going to go ahead and type the title of the game. A garden for my wife. I'm going to use it. Oh, Graydon. I spelled garden wrong. I'm going to use a separate text displayer for the subtitle. But let's go ahead and look at this. It's going to need to be a lot bigger, but let's go ahead and do the font. Font is very important to me for some reason. I'm kind of a writer. I've written a book, and I was really good at writing in high school and stuff. And a big focus in my college years was literacy. I'm kind of a co-teacher in my job, and I enjoy teaching reading and literacy. But anyway, for my text adventures, at least for the time being, I like using a nice Typerly font. That doesn't look good for some reason. That looks better for some reason. I'm gonna make it like this. Yeah, a garden for my wife. Yeah, and then let's go ahead and just put in the other settings. So for this, I've been using some animation. Animation just makes the letters type out. I use a speed of 4 for my titles. If you have infinity, everything will just appear simultaneously. But you can put in animation so that the letters appear one at a time. And I kind of like 4 for the speed of my titles. And also for my text adventures, I like... let's see, I don't want any... Well, actually, I do want prompt to close to be X, or do I? Yeah, I forget. Oh, darn it! I forget how I did it in my last game, because I don't want characters to close it until it's time. So I could... Can I plug this into itself? I could use this to power... Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I did. No, well, I don't think I plugged it into itself. But... we will do that. It won't appear as anything, so they won't know that there's an X button there. Oh, but no, I don't want it powered by that. I want it powered by the next box. Okay, sorry. Figuring this out here. Yeah, I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. So I'm going to clone this and make the subtitle. Subtitle is a text adventure. Just like my previous game, it's going to have the subtitle of a text adventure, so people know that's what this is. And we're going to make it smaller, and we need to make it free alignment so I can just move it where I want. Where is it? There it is. Okay, and I don't want it, I want it all on one line. They've made some kind of change to the way the text works. Didn't used to disappear when I'm editing it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, so what I'll do is, what I was talking about, well, we need to make a timer so that it doesn't, I want there to be a slight delay before it starts showing the title. So yeah, at the very beginning there'll be a 1 second delay before the title starts to type. And yeah, what we'll do is we'll plug, this button I was using earlier is text animation finished. You can use that to make something else happen after the text animation finishes. So I will plug in text animation finished so that it will initiate the next one. And then that one will play. And then when that one is done, it will, yeah, we want to have a, yeah, for the bottom one, we'll have a prompt to close turned on. It won't be visible. And then when it finishes typing, the text animation finished will power a visible prompt on here. So this text animation finished will power this, and it will say play. I've done this before, but I had to kind of go through my head. Oh, I need to place it before I plug it in or it won't be visible. Oops. Oh man, I wish it would. Keep everything visible. Why do they disappear when I'm not hovering over it? I want to be able to see them all so that I can place it right. It's very annoying. Oh well, I guess it's because they're not currently powered, even though I have them selected. Okay, there, now that worked. I guess I had to select. Yeah, but when I'm holding it, it disappears. What's the point of that? I guess that's a change of the 2.33 update. Okay, make the play button a little bit smaller. There we go. A garden for my wife, a text adventure. Okay. And this is, of course, for the community jam. The current community jam is the welcome garden. So I'm making my own text adventure for the community jam. Okay, so that will play and it will start. I also want to have music for this intro. I didn't have music for the last one. I picked out a music song that somebody made. So we'll try that. Make sure it's looping. Yep. Alright, so... Oh yeah, and I'll show you my trick for making typewriter sounds when the text is going. So there is a sound effect on the Dreamiverse which you can use. Somebody made for us. Just type in type, T-Y-P, and it's the first one. Thank you, Binary Reflex, for making this. Make sure it's looping. And also turn the volume up. And power it with this. And so when I want this to be powered, I plug something into the increase count. So this timer will turn it on. And also the text animation finished button will be plugged into the reset count, which will turn off whatever's powered by it. Can you tell my specialty is design? I'm not trying to inflate my ego, but it's what I'm best at. Okay, so that's all good. Now we'll start the dialogue that will be... I think I'm going to try 10 for the animation speed. I ended up increasing the text for the storyline to 8 in my last game, but I'm going to try making it even faster. I don't want it to go so fast. Well, I could try increasing the speed of this so that it goes faster, but not for this one. So we could clone it and make a separate one that would be triggered later. Let's try that. What's it going to sound like if I increase the tempo? Let's do 120%. All right. And because I don't want the sound effect to be slower than how fast the text is appearing, but I don't want the text to go too slow because people get annoyed by that, and even I don't like to wait on it. So plug text animation finished. No, now we will plug, we need to plug two things from these. This one, prompt to close, is X, so that will just be yeah, wait, what? Oh, this one is using the play button. Okay. So that one is the play button, and this one needs to be the close, which is just the square. Okay, so both of these will close when you press the X button, and then we'll start this next part. Okay, so this is good. Actually, we can probably go ahead and make this centered and everything. Then I don't have to worry about it being off center. Okay, we'll go ahead and start typing out the story. This is the part that could take a while. It takes me a little while to write. Make sure I don't run out of time. The video can't be longer than an hour or it stops recording. Oh man, I didn't check when I started this video. We'll say I've been going about half an hour already. Maybe not that much, but okay. So we'll start with, you married your high school sweetheart and moved into her into the house she inherited from her grandparents, or should I do uncle? Let's just say grandfather. I'm trying to think ahead. I don't want to spoil the story for you. But anyway, let's see how that looks. Not like that. I don't want grandfather to be the only word at the bottom. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be like that. Actually, that looks pretty good if we make it bigger. Okay, and all of these will have a next button and also a skip button in case people don't want to wait on the animation. So next, actually this time I think, where's the next button? Oh, there it is. This time I think I will put the skip and next button on top of each other, because I learned last time that they don't appear at the same time. So instead of them having be on alternating sides, I'm going to just place them on top of each other. Right, and prompt to skip. What the? Where is it? Oh yeah, I need to make it visible. So you got to push this button to make it visible. Make them the same size. Cool. So you can skip and then press next. You know what? Oh, prompt to close shouldn't be on. But you know what? I think I'll make prompt to skip X. Because sometimes people like to just press the same button over and over in order to skip and go on to the next one. So that might actually be better. Last time I used circle and X, but I think X would just be good. Alright, so anyway, you married your high school sweetheart and moved into the house she inherited from her grandfather. Soon after, so I cloned that box so that all the settings are the same. So soon after she became pregnant with your first child. Can you tell I'm a writer? I'm being a bit cliche though. I'm kind of going to use tropes in some of the storyline. But anyway, soon after she became pregnant with your first child, you were called off to the war. Very cliche. But, oh well. Sometimes cliches are good. I'll adjust those buttons. I'm really bad about being finicky with centering everything. I mean, it's kind of a good thing, but it can be so time-consuming. Soon after she became pregnant with your first child, you were called off to the war. We're not going to explain which war it is. It's just some fictional or supposed war. It's not necessarily any specific historical war. Because really this is probably set in a different universe than our world, as you'll find out later. But anyway, oh yeah, and I forgot. I want to, yeah. So when you press play, it will turn that on. And then each time it is done going, it needs to turn off the typewriter stuff. So again, we use text animation finished to turn it off, and I need to remember to always plug in this to turn it back on. Oh yeah, and that works really well because I won't need to put two different buttons. So whether... Oh no! That's bad! Because if you press X to skip, it will start the sound over again. So we have to use circle to skip. Otherwise it will mess up that logic. Yeah. Okay. Although, I don't think, I don't know if it matters. Oh well. Just to be safe, we better make skip be circle. Just to be safe. Okay. So yeah, again, I need to make sure I get everything plugged in correctly. X button turns on. Text animation finished turns off. Oh, I already did that one. Okay. X turns on. Text animation finished turns off. Okay, so soon after you became pregnant with your first child, you were called off to the war. Oh, nope, that needs to be different. um, um, while you were while you were on the front lines, you received a letter. Did I spell that right? I before E except after C. Yeah. You received a letter that your wife had a miscarriage. Is this too adult for dreams? I hope not. And when that text animation finishes, I want a sound effect of crying to show that it is a sad thing. Of course. I love that I can just look up anything I want. Although, you don't always get all the sound effects you want in the Dreamiverse. There's not enough people making sound effects. Crying. We don't want baby cry, we want woman cry. Yeah, that one might be good. Bella Iris is good. I like the female voices she's done for us. We'll try that one. And you need to make sure you set it to once, or it won't work connecting it to a pulse. Button prompts are usually a pulse, not a constant signal. So you got to set it to once so that it will play even though it's not powered anymore. Turn the volume up. Now I might have to turn the volume of the music down to be able to hear the crying. But we want text animation finished to power it. Alright. No, your wife had a miscarriage. Okay, and then after you return, this is gonna kind of have an up starting. The starting of this game is kind of like the movie Up from Pixar, which, I mean, that had, you know, infertility involved at the beginning, and that wasn't too adult for a child's movie. Anyway, after you returned, you you and your wife were unable to have any children. that. There we go. Need to make sure I wired everything up right. Did I do this for this one? Yes, I did. Okay, this one needs to activate that. Deactivate this. I think that's good. Probably forgetting something. I always do, and then I have to play it and fix it later. I think this is getting pretty long. I think you've kind of got the idea. I'm going to be writing quite a bit more. So you've kind of got the idea of how the intro is going to work. I might come back later and show you the intro and explain a little more about how I finished it. But you've kind of got the idea. I've got the setup for the cameras and the dialogue and the sound effects and the wipers. Why don't we go ahead and test what I've got, and then we'll end. So we'll save and test how well this works, so you can actually see it in action. A garden for my wife. Oh no, why'd the play button turn on already? Ah, dang it. I did do it backwards. See? I always have to... So yeah, this one needs to have the play button. And then... this one does not. Instead, it needs to have a... oh yeah, it needs to have a invisible play button that will be powered by... oh, is that gonna work? Wait, can I power it with this X button? Oh, I can't remember how I did it last time, although I may have done it wrong. I don't know. Let's see how that works. Oh, yep, that screwed it up somehow. What? Why did that make it not start? That should only activate the prompt. What? Yeah, I screwed something up somehow. Let's take that out, see if that's what's doing it. No. Apparently... let's see. Oh, maybe if I turn that on. But wait, won't that make a... will that just make... oh, whatever. We'll see. It worked. Okay, good. That's a little too fast. I think I might make it 8 or 9. Let's try making it 9. This is the annoying part, trying to edit everything at once. I better go ahead and end this video. 9. Let's try that. Still too fast. I think I liked 8. Rewind. I think the sound effect is too fast. We'll leave them at 8. Pretty sure they all got changed, right? No, some of them are 9? Dang it. Did I just completely forget to change it? Oh my gosh, I didn't change anything. Just change them all individually, I guess. Instead of trying to select them all. Okay, yeah, we only changed one for some reason. Okay, and change this down to 110%. Ah, not 11%. Oh my gosh. Okay, try that. That's pretty good. You married your high school sweetheart and moved into the house she inherited from her grandfather. Soon after, messing up on my punctuation here. Soon after, comma. I'm not going to explain why that is wrong. Soon after, she became pregnant with your first child. Wait, maybe that is wrong. I think it is. Soon after, she became pregnant with your first child. Yeah, it's supposed to be not a comma. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end this video in a second. While you were on the front lines, you received a letter that your wife had a miscarriage. Cool. After you returned, you and your wife were unable to have any children. That's a really long sound effect. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. You've got a fairly good idea of how all this works. And I'll be back with another tutorial and another step of my production of a text adventure. So anyway, I have been Mac. Thank you for joining me for a day. And remember, everything's going to be okay.